right, great evening, everyone. Great evening, everyone. Yes, man, that's taken a long time for Mount Vernonites to get that. First and foremost, I would like to thank the PTA Council for having me at this very important event where I'm now titling this presentation, Protecting Opportunities and Building Stability for Our Students and Our District. I am Dr. Demario Strickland, proud superintendent of the Mount Vernon City School District. I am joined by members of my cabinet. Okay, we have,
Good evening. My name is Dr. Jamal Doggett. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Instruction and Administration.
Good evening, Joe Lin. I'm the District Treasurer.
My Assistant Superintendent for Student Personnel Services is en route, and the Associate Superintendent for Human Resources is at a recruiting event this evening. I'm going to get started, but before we talk about dollars, I think it's important to talk about children. So next slide, please. And I would like you to watch this short. Just a moment.
Place. The rich diversity of this community is something that is a sight to be reckoned with. This is a community that knows its fair of struggle, but time and time again, we've seen Mount Vernonites overcome those struggles. children with hopes and dreams, and they come to the city school district for us to help activate those dreams and help them see their true potential. I go to schools every single week, and I don't just do drive-bys. I actually spend time talking to the principal, talking to teachers,
Thank you. It really inspired me.
looking at instruction, and I just see how our kids are just so sharp.
This is such a great opportunity to put on my college resumes and get a job and to be recognized.
They just are articulate, they do extremely well, and who doesn't want to be a part of something like that? Seeing the things that our students in Mount Vernon are doing, they're barbering, they're doing culinary, they're doing hospitality. You get to see students out of their element. It's a testament to how the community is raising our children. This school district has been through a lot. Multiple superintendents in multiple years, just financial difficulties. And despite all of that, the school district has one of the top 5% schools in New York State. This budget vote is extremely important. Academic programs were cut. And when you cut academic programs, that's when it gets tough, because those academic programs are what are going to allow our students to flourish. And that's something that we can't lose. This budget is extremely important because it's an investment in our children's future. When you think about the arts, when you think about gifted and talented programming, when you think about music, sometimes we go a little above and beyond. And we do that because we want to give our students a myriad of options that are going to prepare them for life ahead. The things that often keep our children in school are the things that are at stake. I put out a survey which was answered by well over 1,000 individuals. This is community members, stakeholders, students, parents.
I want to, make the district a better place for my own daughter, but also for everyone living here.
And certain things rose to the top, ensuring that arts and STEM are a priority. With this tax increase of 1.99%, we're just simply asking for a little over $14.50 a month to maintain the quality programming that we have. My number one core belief is that every child has unlimited potential, and we have a duty and an obligation to support the next generation. I am just excited for what's to come after May 19th.
So that was a little glimpse into what I feel Mount Vernon is all about. Resilience, how I feel about our children, our staff, and I just wanted you all to take a look at that. Next slide. That's not the next slide. Back one. There we go. So much of this budget was built on what I call my core beliefs, which have been taken on by our school leaders, our teachers in various ways. And number one, first and foremost, is that every child has unlimited potential. 2, literacy is the key to unlocking a child's future. 3, the quality of teaching determines the quality of learning. 4, strong relationships create strong outcomes. And then finally, which really became evident with me moving down here to Mount Vernon, a child's zip code should not determine their future. Next slide. This budget was also built around 6 promises to our communities. You'll see student-centered excellence, high-quality instruction and innovation, inclusive community and culture, nurturing partnerships, excellence through financial stewardship, and then finally, sustainable operations and systems. When I was doing my tour, talking to various stakeholders, various organizations about, what are the challenges that are lying ahead? What are the good things that are lying ahead for me in Mount Vernon? These are the themes, the common themes that were coming through. I am one to love an acronym so that it sticks, and I was like, okay, let's talk about something shining, because that's what I feel that Mount Vernon does. We're shine. We shine. Next slide. The GEMS framework, this was delivered to all of the teachers, support staff in our buildings, and this is what teaching and learning looks like in our schools. We want to ensure that students are working at grade level. No matter how far behind they may be, students have to be exposed to grade level content every single day. We want to see empowered and engaged learners, feeling safe, feeling culturally and linguistically safe in the classrooms, and that they have a voice. Mastery of thinking and learning, students should be defending their evidence. We shouldn't just have one-word answers. We shouldn't say, what's the letter, and then that's it. We need to start engaging our students more critically so that they are able to go out in the world and compete. And then finally, success is measured through progress. It's always important that students know where they are and where they need to go, because that's how we meet our goals. Next slide. This budget is also directly tied towards these goals. Grade 3 students achieving proficiency in New York State ELA assessments. I challenged the staff with 5%, hoping to get 3, because if you know about sustainable change and sustainability as a whole, 3% is something that is good. It shows you're going in the right direction. 5% would be even better. So I said 5% in hopes to get 3%. And we know that if a student is not reading by the grade 3, they are way likely to drop out or not be successful throughout the rest of their academic careers. Grade 5 students moving from 39% to 44% in mathematics. Why grade 5? If students are not proficient by grade 5, then they are going to have a difficult chance at conquering the algebra that they will encounter in grades 6, 7, 8, and 9. And algebra is the gatekeeper for why students are not graduating on time. The percentage of 9th grade students earning 5 or more credits, moving from 75.8 to 80.8. If students aren't earning 5.5 credits right away, they have a hard chance of graduating 4 years, 5 years, and even 6 years. So we use that as a marker to ensure that we know that our students are going to be set up for success. And finally, how every district is measured, and that's moving the graduation rate from 79% to 84%. And again, 5% hoping to get 3, but that's what this budget is built on. Next slide. So I want to quickly talk about who we serve. Right now we're about 48 students. 4,900 of our students are economically disadvantaged. 605 of our learners come with a different language. They're English language learners. 1374 are students with exceptionalities. I'm really trying to shy away from the word disabilities. I think exceptionalities is more fitting because, my cabinet saw it today. We saw some students that were in an 812 classroom playing the recorder, hitting all the notes, And it just took me back to my first core belief: they have unlimited potential. But those were exceptionalities. You know why? Because when I had a recorder, I could only play Hot Cross Buns. They were playing Amazing Grace and a whole nother rock song that I've never heard of. So exceptionalities is going to be used as it's more fitting. And then finally, 805 of our students are unhoused or homeless. Next slide. So we continue to see a decline in enrollment as many urban and now suburban. I was on a call with my suburban counterparts. They're losing students. The fertility rate is decreasing. Individuals are waiting much later in life to have children. Some folks are like, I'm one and done, but it's declining nonetheless. So at 2018, we were at 7,500, and 2025, we're at 6,448. Next slide. For our students with disabilities, so despite the decrease of enrollment with our general population, our population as a whole, when you extract out the students with disabilities, you can actually see that we are higher than we were in 2018. Two students. And some of that is in counting. It's continuing to increase. Next slide. And then finally, our English language learners started taking a dip, with the lowest being 2022, 2023, and is now up to 605. So back in the 600s, looks like it's inching towards what it was in 2018. Next slide. And then finally, because there were myths out there that we are not doing things with our staff as we're right-sizing and trying to make decisions on behalf of our students. We have, 2018, it was 1984, and now in 2025, we are at 1522. Now, an important caveat, and the reason why I showed the other slides, students with disabilities, English language learners, is because as those populations increase, that means it takes more personnel to educate those students effectively, and it's the law. So whereas a general education student has one teacher, a student with a disability may encounter 2 or 3 teachers. An English language learner may encounter 2 or 3 teachers, which means we have to retain more staff because our students with exceptionalities are increasing, as well as our English language learners. Next slide. So, despite having some of the highest needs in Westchester County, Mount Vernon has historically invested less in taxation than neighboring communities. So this form, or this document, literally shows the percentages of how much more these districts have as it pertains to students with exceptionalities. There's 8 that are 10 to 50% more. You see the middle column. It's over, it's 15, 16. And then same thing for the last column, 100, almost 100% more. We're educating students that are more economically disadvantaged than other districts. Next slide. What this budget protects. So this budget protects athletics. We protect the arts. This budget is protecting music, protecting our clubs, protecting counseling, safety, technology, career pathways, gifted and talented. It's actually restoring gifted and talented. And finally, dual language. Dual language was a non-negotiable because we have more than 20 Spanish-speaking students across each and every single grade level. And as per Part 154 regulations of the commissioner in New York State, we are supposed to offer a viable bilingual program. Slowly but surely, as I'm looking at the data, I'm seeing Portuguese. I'm also seeing Arabic, which it's great because I love the diversity, but it scares me because we already have an issue finding teachers. So that's why the bilingual program, the dual language program, will start at 1 grade level and then scale up because it shows the effort that we're putting into getting into compliance. Next slide. Here are the investments families will see. So the budget brings more math specialists. This came loud and clear from the budget survey. And if you saw the data, you saw that our 5th grade math percentage was lower than our 3rd grade ELA percentage, even though I'm not comparing. The district has traditionally struggled, like most districts, especially post-COVID, with mathematics instruction. Expanded bilingual supports, continued CTE pathways, safe schools, technology access, and student wellness supports. Next slide. And now I'm going to bring up our district treasurer, and he's going to go through a few slides to discuss some of the actual numbers. So now you know about our students and who we serve. Now we can talk about numbers.
Thank you, Dr. Strickland. Good evening. So I think Dr. Strickland has really painted a great picture of the vehicle that's going to shape our students' future, and conversely, the future of Mount Vernon itself. But to do that, we need fuel for the engine that he just described, and the budget is that fuel. So let's take a look at that. So the budget for 26-27 is $276.2 million, and that's an increase of 1.5% from the current year's budget. I want to give you some context for that, what that means. The Federal Reserve is estimating that the cost of living increase in the United States is going to be between 2.7 and 3.9%. So our budget increase potentially is less than half of what the cost of living in the United States is, right? How are we able to do that? There's a lot of work that's been put in to bring in discipline financially, to make sure that we're spending the money wisely, but we need to make adjustments to the budget because costs are increasing. That translates to a 1.99% tax levy increase. Well, to fund the 1.5% increase in the budget, the state aid, we were expecting that to be close to 2%, and now the state is telling us it's 1%, right? So in order to adjust for that, we need that tax increase so that we can have a budget. I want you to also understand that's a year, in the coming year, $276 million. If we adjust it for inflation, that's the equivalent of $271 million today. Right? So, next slide, please. What constitutes our budget? Well, it's 53% taxes, it's 44.4% state aid. So you see when the impact of the foundation aid is pretty significant. All right, and only 2.6% is going to be local. That's things like interest rates and other minor incomes that help us. All right, next slide. So to get to that budget, we didn't just come up with a number. We actually went through a variety of scenarios to look at what our needs are. And as I mentioned before, we looked at state aid, what the impact of that is, and that's how we actually came up to 1.99%. That was what was needed to really balance this budget and put us in great foundational standing for the upcoming year. Right? We got to have a balanced budget so that we can start to rebuild the foundations, the fuel needed to empower everything that Dr. Strickland wants to accomplish. Next slide. This is a picture of how our investment has looked like over the last 10 years compared to some other Westchester counties. And you can see we have had several years where there has been 0% increase in our tax levy. What does that mean? That means we're not adjusting for the cost of living all those years, 7 out of 10. When you look at other districts, they've been making those adjustments. You see a lot of them are well over 2%. Okay? When you look at that, you could clearly see the net impact. We're 3 to 4 times less in investment compared to neighboring school districts in the area. All right, that's next slide. Just for you guys to be able to visually see that, how big a difference that, and how big a potential impact that has had on our programs. So I think for us to finally get to a solid foundation, it's 2 parts. We gotta invest so that we're adjusting for the costs and we're putting the fuel needed to make the program happen, but we also need the discipline to manage that wisely. And we can do both at the same time. I got one more. All right, next slide. So I think it's good for you to get a context for what that looks like for us this year compared to other school districts in the area. You see we're still near the bottom in terms of the tax levy increases. You've got districts like Eastchester that's increasing by 6.31% as they face financial challenges. Many school districts are looking to increase their budget significantly. But we're able to be near the bottom because we put a lot of work into financial controls and starting to put in structures and bring in discipline around investing money wisely.
Thank you, Mr. Lin. Next slide. So here are the responsible decisions that we are taking to protect classrooms. Central office is undergoing a reorganization. We're looking at making sure we know what everyone does, what their purpose is, looking for efficiencies so that we're better servicing schools. We're looking at our staffing alignment. That means not running classrooms with 7 students. We need to ensure that teachers have full caseloads, which means 5 classes. We're looking at operational efficiencies. We are coming up with standardized operating procedures to ensure that the processes that are taken are actually working in our favor and not overpaying overpaying purchase orders in different organizations. We're leveraging our grants. So I found that years prior, we had been just giving title monies back title monies back. We gave a lot of COVID money back. Those are critical resources that could have helped programming, and it would have supported our students significantly. Planning for the MVAG and the Civil Service Union contract negotiations, that's embedded in this budget. And then I want to just say kudos to the Mount Vernon Federation of Teachers, the teachers, teacher assistants, and security that ratified their contract, and the board passed or voted on it yesterday. So that's a win for the district. And then finally, long-term strategic plan. You can't do anything if you don't know where you're going. And I need to make sure that we get a strategic plan in place so that I know where we are taking this district and how we're going to get there. Next slide. Here's how we're managing financial challenges. These are our financial realities, okay? Our charter school tuition is going up 25% to $17.5 million. Special education investments have to be done, but it's $40 million. We have seen a slight decrease in transportation as we are only transporting our neediest, our most vulnerable students. That means cognitive disabilities as well as physical disabilities. And then finally, healthcare. Healthcare is going up. It's going up for everyone in this nation. $33.5 million, or an extra 8.7%. Next slide. There's always much talk about what's going on with certain buildings, and they're not filled, and we've been overtaken as a district with a number of self-contained classrooms. That means classes where there may be 6 students, 1 teacher, 3 teacher assistants. We have some 8 students, 1 teacher, and a few teacher assistants. We have 12s. Those students deserve classroom sizes as per the regulation, just like general education students. So sometimes we hear, again, these schools are underutilized, we're wasting space, but we actually have self-contained classrooms in those spaces, and we need that space that normally could occupy 28, 29 students, but they're only occupying 6. So I just always like to put the efficiency slides up there. Next slide. Our students in Mount Vernon City School District, our teachers, our teacher assistants, in spite of our fiscal distress, they're achieving anyway. They're achieving anyway. And that's a testament to what community does, teachers, teacher assistants, staff, you name it, school leaders, that all of our schools are in good standing. Next slide. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Thank you. When people are looking to buy a new home, 91% of them are buying a new home based on how the school district is doing. This is the reality. This is the reality. If we invest in our schools, things improve. That is boosting the property values for everyone. That's why those investments for our kids, for tomorrow, are so important, critically important. Next slide. Here's what's at stake. So people are saying, zero, no. Okay. Well, look what happens. Look what happens. And then I'm sure my phone, my email, my everything is going to be blowing up because of what happened. Programs such as library, extracurricular activities, athletics, not here in Mount Vernon, field trips, enrichment, arts, music, and electives, we have to make choices on those. Staffing, I gotta make staffing cuts 5% across the board. So people talk about crowded classrooms now, it would really be coming. Because we need to make sure that they have a certificated teacher that is highly qualified in front of them. Facilities. We know that we are struggling in this area. Facilities is probably our biggest challenge. I spend more time discussing facilities during the day than I'm talking about academics here in Mount Vernon. Those projects that we are trying to plan for with the little capital monies that we have, that goes away. Which means the school deteriorates more, which means your property value goes down. The grounds, I've gotten emails, I can't tell you post or pre me getting here, but people are just sending me emails. I love that these people are cleaning their lawns, and I was like, oh, I mean, I thought that's the expectation. But I can't keep that. Technology, we have 6,500 plus devices that have to be re-imaged this summer so that students have a ready device when they come back to school on September 3rd. And we're not doing this all year having tech issues as we had this year. Now I know the landscape. We know exactly what to do to prevent that issue from happening again. Support services, after school and community programs, it would have to go. Non-mandated counseling or wellness services, it would have to go. Meaning your students, if they're a general education student, may not get counseling services if they are grieving or if they just woke up and had a bad day. Professional learning and development. Every professional in any field deserves the right to be developed professionally so that they can continue to do their job better, so that they can continue to equip our students with the knowledge they need to be successful. And then last but not least, we were successful with 3 units for 1 contract in VFT. And my goal is to make sure that the Mount Vernon administrators who's been out of a contract for a year or 2, a year, and our civil service who's been out of a contract since June 2025, they are given what they deserve next year. Next slide. But I couldn't end on that doom and gloom. I want to say the best is yet to come, because we're going to continue to grow academically. We're giving students opportunities. We're on our way to a fiscal recovery. We got strong strategic planning. It's not coming out of thin air. It's going to create stronger schools, and most importantly, it's going to create a stronger community. Next slide. And with that being said, a vote for this budget is a vote for stability, opportunity, progress in the children of Mount Vernon. That QR code is up there in case you have questions. If I missed something, I can't tell you what to do, But all I am saying is practice your right. That's all. And with that being said, Ms. Anderson, that's all my slides. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. Absolutely.
So we have 5 minutes if anyone wants. Oh, thank you. If anyone would like to ask Dr. Strickland a question, we just have 5 minutes to do that. You may come up and do so.
Don't be shy. If you don't want to get up, I'll come to you. Oh, okay, hold on.
Thank you. I am aware that the school district did a joint presentation with the city at a special meeting last night in regards to the property taxes collection. But so since there aren't any questions and not many people were aware of that presentation, will you speak to the impact of the property taxes collection, the impact that it has on the budget, the children?
That's a very great question, and I am mostly prepared to talk about it. As you know, the city had owed over, I think, 11 or 10.7 million dollars in taxes. Okay. So, yeah, so 10.7, did I say? Okay, so anyhow, that covered 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020. That has since been paid back. That's interest as well as any late fees. An agreement to continue the process I did not know was not truly in place. So therefore, that last payment came in on October 2025. And from there, I was like, okay, what's going on? And you know, I'm only 5 months in by then. There was no understanding as to what the process was to continue this process of collecting taxes. We met. We got our councils together. We came up with a MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, and now we know the process that we are taking in order to keep this going and not having any stopgaps, period. Now, those monies, when they come, we've been drawing upon the fund balance. Right now, I have no fund balance, very little, 2 million. That's scary for any rainy day in any district. That's exactly what it would do, go into the reserves, because that's what we need to build up. Because of our bank account, that's why the state comptroller labeled us as fiscally distressed. Meaning one bad thing and bam, you're done. I hope that answered your question. Yes. Yes, that. Correct. When we're not bringing the monies in, that has an ultimate impact on the district providing quality programs. You're exactly right. You're welcome. Thank you.
Dr. Strickland, I do have one question for you. Can you please tell us what are the potential implications if the budget does not pass on May 19, particularly in terms of program service, the programs you mentioned on that slide, the service delivery, and additionally, can you please outline the cost? Like, tell us the money. How much would it cost to go back to the public for a revote, and including necessary outreach efforts and the impact on the overall timeline.
So, I already outlined what's at stake, and this is true. This is the contingency budget. This. Programs, library, cut it out. Extracurriculars, athletics, no, we can't provide it. Field trips, no. Our kids can't get opportunities to go and explore and learn in the world like every other district. Enrichment, arts, music. This school, which suffered most, Denzel. Electives, those are the programs that help our children want to come to school because they pick it and they show interest, and it generally helps them get across the finish line. 5% staffing cuts across the board, period. We would have to make do, meaning overcrowded classrooms. Hey, I have 4 principals retiring, so maybe they don't get an assistant principal. And as a former principal, running a school by myself is not something you want to boast about. That also means our custodians. So that means that our facilities are going to start not being up to snuff. That means a lot of things. The facilities projects that we want to get done will not get done because we won't be able to. Technology, our devices, we're a one-to-one district, just like most of New York State schools. We will not be able to refresh refresh those devices so that they are ready for students on the first day of school. Support services. So after school programs goes away. Can't, because we have to replace it with other mandated services. Community programs go away. Non-mandated counseling, meaning if I'm a student that needs support for one day, I'm not a student with an exceptionality, hey, that counselor might not be available to see that student. That's what a contingency budget does. Professional learning and development. I mean, even when I worked at McDonald's, I had to go for professional learning. My teachers, my administrators, my cabinet, we all still need professional development because there's new research coming out every single day. And if I would have to cut that off, we don't grow. And then finally, as I said, we got our MVFT contract at the finish line. Now I have 2 more that's outdated. 3 actually, the lunch monitors. So that's what's at stake. Not only that, a contingency budget would actually land us with less of a budget than we did have this year. It would be $271 million, and even if you heard the treasurer, Joe Lynn, he just said it. 271 is like 276 now. So we would be even further behind. And then people want me to make miracles out of nothing. You can't make lemonade out of lemons. You can't. Did I answer that? Or I got a few more. So she's.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, what would be the timeline in terms of adjusting the budget and bring it back to the public for a revote?
So I would have to begin with the team and close the doors and say, okay, what goes? What of these things go? So that we can make the 271. That means we're going to close the doors and we are going to have a war room. That's what you have to do. But those are the things we had already been doing to try not to give a substantial increase like other districts in Westchester County are doing. We've been looking at efficiencies. I said no new positions. Thankfully, the monitor said no new positions. I'm taking one position that I've seen vacant for so many days and another position in order to make sure I can have a director of world languages, bilingual education in world languages. So I'm not even, you know what I mean? I'm not adding anything. I'm just trying to maintain. Because our students deserve it.
So I have one just to add. Now, I'm a big proponent of this budget, so I just want to make that clear. And I've heard from family and friends, when we say percentage increase, 1.9%, they get scared because they think of a big number. Can you specify how much average in dollar amount, so it's palatable for them, what this budget increase would be? Like how much per month in a number? Thank you.
So on the average cost of a $555,000 home, we're simply asking for a little over $14.50 additional a month. $14.50 additionally a month, 14. And last time I checked, I worked at McDonald's. I still love McDonald's. My bill at McDonald's is way more than $14 now. I don't know why. I mean, everything is just going up. Hopefully gas don't see that number because that's, Lord knows, that's crazy. So yeah, 14.
I just want to add one comment to that. So as I mentioned, many of you probably heard me say this, and I'm glad you mentioned the $14.56, if I quote it right. As a Mount Vernon graduate, a proud Mount Vernon graduate, and I'm speaking to all the parents who you may not have students in the district, you may have your kids in private school. I'm one of the students, I won't mention the year because I don't want to date myself. My parents didn't have an option to send me to private school because they didn't have the financial, they didn't have it. That's the bottom line. But I must say, I graduated from Mount Vernon High School. I went to New Rochelle, Iona College. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Computer Programming and a minor in Mathematics. I'm an integration engineer. Now, private schools, academically, we want doctors, we have nurses. I am not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, but I can tell you this. When you go to a hospital and you go and you get an x-ray and you wonder how it makes it from the computer to the doctor to read that x-ray or the radiologist, people like me are the ones behind the scenes that make it happen. When you go to the doctor's office and you get your prescription filled, and the doctor said, what pharmacy do you want to go to? And you say you want it to be picked up at CVS. People like myself are the ones that make it happen. So I just want to say there are many colleagues like me who graduated from Mount Vernon High School who are doing wonderful things. And while I may have that behind me, I have kids in the school district, not by choice. I can actually put them in private school, but I choose not to because I'm a big proponent of public education. And not only that, I can speak to, while I went to Mount Vernon High School, there were students who graduated with me in the CTE program. Many of them, they're at a BMW dealership, they're running the service department. I know quite a few of them who are plumbers, they're electricians. Think about that $14.56, what difference it would have made for a student that cannot afford to go to a private institution like myself, and the outcome and how it affects her futures. This is a cycle for everyone's career. You don't have to be academically there, but we all need it at some type of service level. So remember what purpose we serve. Thank you again.
I just want to thank you all for your listening here. Again, so I've been sort of tailoring my presentation every time I hear feedback, because it's important for you to know that I'm listening, and there's people that have been here a few times watching me, and we've listened to people talk, and I heard everything is doom and gloom, and I'm like, no, that's not the point. So I wanted to paint a better picture, to show you what's in the budget, to show you what's being added, to show you the investment that we all are making for our children. Our children. If I can invest a little more in the classroom, it can tell them to stop walking on the lawn or hanging out where they're not supposed to be. And those are the things that I want to do for the children of Mount Vernon. And I do mean that. I really do. And I won't stop until we get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Strickland. We really appreciate you coming and doing this budget presentation. At this time, we're going to transition. Oh, do you have a question?
Hi, I just wanted to ask some people that could not make it, they're texting me and they're asking questions. Number one, what happened to the 3 schools that closed down, the budget? Where the money that was allocated for those schools, where did it go to? Are those schools reopening? Are we still continuing to pay for those schools? I have a senior who's asking me also, New York State Lottery aid to education for 2024 to 2025, $12 million was given to Mount Vernon School District. From 2017 until 2025, $322,517,764. Man, they got it right to the penny, and 74 cents was given to the Mount Vernon School District. So, me as a homeowner, I would like to know where those monies went, what are they doing with those schools that have closed? We're still paying for it, right? I'm assuming. Am I correct?
So I was just waiting for you to finish.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm getting so many
That's
text
fine. That's fine.
messages.
So I've been telling people, and I've been very transparent. I started this year with a deficit budget, meaning the money you think it said 272 or 270. What's this year? 272. Yeah, I didn't have 272. I started with a deficit. Every single week, I'm sitting in my office and I get a past due bill. A past due bill. That's where that money has gone. The money has gone where normally you would be able to pull from your fund balance. I can't pull from the fund balance because that's been done all those 10 years. We've been pulling from fund balance. Yes, we have to keep the lights and the water on at those schools, but I will say those schools can't be sold right now. They're still bonded, so they cannot be sold.
But there is still monthly expenses for those schools.
Yeah, yes. So there's monthly expenses, but they're way low. Like I just signed an electric bill for one of them. It was like $900, and yes, I understand, but that's for lights because you still have to be safe. You still have to make sure that nobody's trying to break in, things like that. And in terms of the lottery aid, I can't speak to those previous years. All I know is that number always fluctuates. And I know that we include that lottery aid in our budget. Didn't we get the lottery aid letter notification?
Yeah, I mean, the lottery aid goes into the overall bucket of budget that we work with. So
That's a lot of money.
We don't
Every year.
We don't sit here and say, hey, lottery aid goes to this specific program, and this other piece of money goes there. It all comes into a bucket, and then we pay for the program itself. So if you're asking me if there's $1 in lottery aid, did it go here? I can't trace that.
Okay, but in your reports, that's not shown
I think
there?
I think the numbers are, I would have to look that up. I don't have it on hand, but I'm assuming your numbers are correct. So to address your question, where did it go? It went to all the things that we had previously paid for, all the salaries, all the bills, all the contractual services, transportation. The entire state aid, yep. Yep.
Okay.
So it's not just lottery aid, it's the foundation aid, it's the BOCES aid, all of that goes into that one bucket.
And that is broken down in that report that residents, homeowners can see that?
Yeah, so if you go into the budget book, you can see how the total amount of money is then spent into teacher salaries, into contractual services, into transportation. That's all outlined in the budget book itself.
I am so sorry, but we have to start the candidate forum at this time. There is another opportunity to hear about the budget presentation tomorrow at Hamilton School, correct? And that will be at 7 p.m.? 6:30 p.m. So thank you. I'm going to ask all the candidates, at 6 o'clock. Thank you. All the candidates, please make your way to the stage at this time. Just have a few rules that I wanted to mention. Each candidate will have an equal opportunity to present their views. Please respect the time. We ask that you respect the time. We have a timekeeper, Cassandra Lawrence, she's our timekeeper tonight, and Jarianne Grant is our moderator. Personal attacks or negative comments about fellow candidates are not allowed. Please focus on issues about our students and your vision for the school board. We will adhere strictly to the time limits. The timekeeper will be visible to help you manage your responses, and we appreciate your cooperation in keeping the schedule. And please direct your responses to the moderator and not to other candidates. And last but not least, we ask everyone if you could remain respectful and civil throughout this forum, and disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Thank you everyone for coming, and at this time we will turn over to our moderator, Jarianne Grant.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So thank you for coming again, and we'll start with our first question. And this question is 1 minute, and it's for pertaining to all our candidates. Now, we'll start from my left, going to right, which we'll start with Ms. Alberton. Hopefully I say your name correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. First question. Once to be a school board trustee usually means you should have current and up-to-date involvement within our school community. With that being said, can you please name 2 to 3 principals currently in our school district, and what schools are you zoned for in your neighborhood?
I worked with several principals last year, but they're not fresh in my mind. I know Dr. Strickland is our new super, and I'm very supportive of him. And I live a stone's throw away from Traphagen Elementary.
Okay, and I want to take this opportunity. I did miss one step. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Gwendolyn Janelle Albritton. I'm commonly known as Janelle. It's Albritton, very good pronunciation, like All-American, only British, Albritton. And I've been a resident here since I bought my apartment in 2015, and I've been teaching. I started teaching 30 years ago. I've worked and traveled in Vietnam, India, Thailand, California, and New York, teaching from pre-K to adults. So, different
Thank you.
subjects. Thanks.
Thank you. And for Ms. Evans, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself for a minute, and then we'll go into repeat the question.
My name is Carlene Evans, and I've been a resident of, can't hear.
Feel free to pick up the mics. You can take them off the handles.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is this better? Yes. My name is Carlene Evans, and I've been a resident of Mount Vernon for 11 years. I work in healthcare. I am a registered nurse by training, and with a specialty in healthcare improvement, performance improvement. And what that means is how do we get better at what we do every day and meet those metrics and provide best care for patients. So my school zone is Pennington, and I haven't been, my kids, they are high school. I'm more familiar with this school actually, Denzel, because my 2 kids were students here at Denzel, Washington.
Are you able to name 2 to 3 principals? Or?
Oh, 2. One is Miss Thomas, Andrea Thomas. I'm very familiar with her. I was familiar with whatever school my kid is in. I would definitely know the principal. Back then, it was Miss Thorne, I think. But since they've left Pennington, I just mainly focus on the school that they were in, and it was this school.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Warren Mitchell, number 4A. I'm a lifelong resident of Mount Vernon, graduate of the Mount Vernon School District, product of the Mount Vernon School District, with 2 graduated teenagers, one who's about to graduate, another that's in high school. I have been on the school board for 3 years with 1 off, and I am currently in my final year of my term. I am vice president at this time. I have worked with almost every principal in this district, but the first 2 I think of are my zone school, which is Traphagen, Carol Quinones, and Miss Marrow, who was my zone school, which was Honor Academy before it was closed.
Thank you. And Mr. Woodbury, if you could introduce yourself, please.
My name is Mr. Woodbury. I'm here 64 years in the city of Mount Vernon. The school principals, Dr. Gray, Dr. Green, Dr. Cornelius, Dr. White, Dr. Pierce, both Dr. Pierce. I have worked in 9 of the school district schools within this district. I am the director of the Step Up program, the at-risk program for the young men.
Thank you. No.
Keep going, sorry.
No, okay. That's okay.
And Mr. Vasquez, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Steven Vasquez. I'm a Mount Vernon resident coming up on 4 years now. I'm a 14-year IT administrator. I've served at institutions like Chappaqua Central School District, Children's Village in Dobbs Ferry, Southern Westchester BOCES. I run a pet boarding business out of my home. I have done a lot of volunteering around here in Mount Vernon, and I am zoned for Lincoln. I do not know the principals that are currently serving.
Thank you. So if you, Mr. Vasquez, I'm going to toss the next question at you, and then we move down the line. And this question also, you have a minute to answer as soon as it starts. It has been circulating on social media that Mount Vernon High School should be closed because of the cost necessary for repairs. Do you support closing the school? Why not? And what specific alternatives would you propose?
I don't support closing one particular school. I did circulate the idea of maybe closing a school like Mount Vernon High School, but these ideas all need to be vetted. I know that previously the school closures were vetted based on enrollment and the upgrades or the maintenance that was needed. I do think performance is another thing that we need to look at. Outside of the proposed tax increase, I am concerned about the longevity of the school district as far as maintaining all the buildings. So I would support, a more comprehensive study into the schools and seeing what makes sense as far as building reorganization.
Thank you. And the same question for Mr. Woodbury. With the circulation information online regarding possibility of closing Mount Vernon High School, do you support closing the school? Why? If not, why not? And what specific alternative would you propose if you're for it?
I would be against closing Mount Vernon High School because I worked there, and the question would be, where would you put those students? Right at the present time, STEAM is housing over 300 7th and 8th graders. So if you close Mount Vernon High School, where would you put those 300 7th and 8th graders? Because you cannot put them back in elementary schools. So that would be a no for me about closing them. Now, if you're going to open up the other 3 schools, and then there would be a possibility, but then again, that still would not help at all. So I would definitely say no to closing Mount Vernon High School. However, you do need to fix the flooding on the first floor.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
I am definitely firmly against closing Mount Vernon High School, and not just because it's the flagship high school of this city, but because of the fact, number one, the CTE program has done nothing but grow in leaps and bounds over the past 5 to 6 years. We do have an incredible IB program in that building, and we have always done the best we can to maintain. Every building in the district is in need of facilities repairs. We're in a crumbling infrastructure district for our school buildings. But to having already haphazardly closed 3 school buildings, to then close another or even have that conversation is absurd.
Thank you, Ms. Evans.
I'm wholly against closing the high school because, like was said earlier, what other options do we have? Not only that, we have to also think of the impact on parents, the tailspin that would put parents into. Closure, I don't think is the answer, but truly understanding how to bring us forward to make sure that all our students are excelling, make sure that we have a higher graduation rate. Closure is just almost as if it's a knee-jerk reaction. We need to systematically figure out what we need to do to have a flourishing school as opposed to just running out to save money and closing schools. I think we're deserving of a strong high school, and the potential is there in Mount Vernon.
Thank you. Ms. Alberton?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the practical consideration is kids got to go to school. If not there, then where? That's an important consideration. I would need to see more data. There's a lot of data out there, but you'll hear me say this a few times throughout these forums, is that there's a certain kind of assessment that may need to be done that hasn't been done yet, to look at the hard data, the hard information, such as the shape of the infrastructure and the flooding, and then the soft data, such as achievement and attendance. There are many options that we have available, and I don't think that just closing it is going to be the fix that we need. We need to ask questions that have not been asked yet to get us out of the situation that we're in.
Thank you. And now, if you could, you'll be the person for the next question. Given the proposed budget for the next school year and the current and future budget cuts from the Department of Education, do you support or oppose the increase in the school tax? If you oppose a tax increase, please explain your plan to balance the budget while addressing the following requirements. And I'll start. This is a multi-question, so you have 2 minutes, but I'll give you the first part of it. Providing competitive salaries for the teachers and support staff, and accounting for the rising cost of healthcare benefits, paying outstanding bills, and replenishing the depleted reserve funds. How would you go about that if you're against the school tax increase?
That's a sticky wicket. Can't answer that in 60 seconds, sorry. But what
you have 2 minutes.
I have 2 minutes, okay.
Yeah, extra
good.
time.
Good, that's excellent. First of all, at this, where I stand now, I am against the increase. And part of that is, for me, a spiritual kind of principle that if you're properly managing what you've already got, then you can get more. But I'm not convinced that an audit would show that everything has been going very smoothly. I have questions on how allocations have been given so far, how previous board decisions have been made, and I would just need to look more closely at that. Of course, I support teachers. I'm a third-generation teacher, and I know that salaries are very important, and I'm very much in support of that. However, looking at these, I would say like a bleeding wound, and putting a Band-Aid over it, or focusing on the wound and not looking at the root cause. I think there needs to be more conversation on what the root causes are of where and why we are at where we're at. I have a master's in public health. I'm all about program design and assessment. We need a different kind of assessment that hasn't been done before. We need to ask questions that haven't been asked yet so that we can really figure out. And of course, let's say the elephant in the room, which is not fiction, the city is in arrears for forwarding property tax revenue to the school, glaring gape in the cash flow. So that's $20 million in arrears payments. The last payment was last September, and that is unacceptable. So I would say let's address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about that first.
Thank you. Ms. Evans, do you would like me to reread the question? I know it's
Yes,
pretty
please.
big. So given the proposed budget for the next school year, and considering current and future budget cuts from the Department of Education, are you against or for the school tax increase? And if not, how do you plan on balancing the budget and address these requirements, which is the competitive salaries for us to retain teachers and support staff, accounting for rising costs of healthcare benefits, paying outstanding bills while replenishing the depleted reserves?
So I am not for the increase. When I look at the budget, I wonder to myself, are there other trade-offs that we can? I look at the budget in terms of those essential, those core things that, critical services that the school district provides, and that's tied to classroom activities, classroom instructions, and then there are lower priorities, such as, say, for example, conferences. Where else can we trim and without really going into like teacher salary, because we need them. Because one of the things when I look at the data, I see where many of our teachers, they're young teachers. Mount Vernon seems to be like the training ground. They come, they train, and then they leave, and then we have this brain drain. But so we do need competitive salary to hold on to our teachers, right? So one of the things, like I said, I would look at is make sure we shore up those critical services for students, and then trim the non-essential things. In terms of the funding for the schools, have we exhausted all legal options? I know a lot has been done in terms of recouping that money, but did we do everything that we can do illegally to compel the city to make good on what's owed to the school district? And as far as healthcare is concerned, let's go for RFPs, put out RFPs to see what else. Is there another company that could offer us excellent services, healthcare coverage, at a lower cost as well?
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell, do I need to repeat the question? Okay, great. Thank you. 2
I
minutes.
support the budget increase because I've been here watching the destructive nature of a zero tax levy for the past 7 years. I've seen it in action, so we want answers. We have answers. Answers are, let's go close 3 buildings that we don't really have vetted data that says we should close them. And how about conflicting information about those buildings, but yet close them anyway? 5-4 split trustees. When you get a split like 5-4, that says that there's a problem. When you are in a place of health and you become unhealthy, it takes time to get back to healthy. If this is not a clear example of what's going to take time to get back to healthy, 4 years to close on a school district on teacher contracts, and they signed contracts not for what they deserved, but because it was all they had left to do. We're still not paying our teachers what they deserve. We still don't have the ability to do it. To compound the situation and discuss the elephant was in the room yesterday and spoke, and so did legal. And if you're keeping score and you didn't just jump into the situation to learn what's going on in this school district at election time, then you'd know the school district has been presenting the budget since they discovered that for the past 5 years, we were actually in the hole of a total of $31 million in revenue based on not just what the city owed us, but tax levies that never happened. So if you're keeping score, the conversation happened, and it does take time to get the city to have a sit down with the district to determine the next payment plan arrangement so we can get kicked off again on the track.
Thank you. Mr. Woodbury.
I support the budget because I do see the need that for our students. One of the things that he spoke about would be the cutting of community programs. If you're cutting community programs, there will be more students on the street that are on the street now who are frustrated because they're not getting the education that they need, so they need some place to go. So you're cutting that, you're cutting sports, all right? We do need a little more, we need to spend a little more wisely with sports. I personally can't understand why we can send a team to Hawaii, but we can't send a team to Penn State. I'm not understanding that at all, okay? So, or to someplace like that. As far as our teachers are concerned, absolutely, our teachers need a salary that is equal to everywhere else. However, they also need to be held accountable for what is being taught in the classrooms. I've been in the classrooms when I've seen packages being handed out, and we wonder why our students are not getting where they need to be.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez.
I do not support the increase. We have an RFP out right now for forensic accounting, the scope of which is not public. And I think that speaks to the fact that we don't know where all the money has gone, how it's been spent. And my plan to balance the budget would be to comprehensively go line by line and see what every option is as far as doing cost savings. I think that the district has a structural revenue problem that this budget does not address, neither did last year's budget, and I think we really need to work a little bit harder. And as a trustee, I would work a lot harder to try and find some cost savings and some strategy for better and more responsible spending. I would talk to teachers, see how money is wasted. I would talk to anybody and everybody that I could to see how we could save money.
Thank you. And the next question, starting with you, Mr. Vasquez. What do you believe families can do to help improve the district? And you have a minute to answer that question.
Get them involved in volunteering, teach them about financial literacy, just teach them the art of just, cleaning up after yourself, teach them about entrepreneurship. I'm an ADHDer. I would have loved to see some of the programs that we have today. We have some financial literacy programs. And I think getting kids to be more civically involved, however that looks, showing them to just help others without any expectation, that's how we set up our kids to be leaders.
Thank you. Mr. Woodbury?
Getting our families, our parents, more involved comes with trust. Our parents are sending their kids to school thinking that they're getting an education that they are or are not getting. So therefore, we would have to go out to the schools and let them know, go to the parents and let them know that, we are here to teach your children, but what do you think of a parent that thinks of a school where my child graduated, but yet he still can't read or write? And that's very effective into the thing. So what we need to do is we need to go to the parents, and just holding a forum at a certain spot does not mean you're going to reach that parent.
Mr. Mitchell, thank you.
First thing I would do is encourage parents to make sure that they do actually vote, but not just vote for any budget, not just vote for some folks to sit in these seats, but vote for the future of the city as a whole. And it does start with the children that are the future of the whole thing, because your grandkids are leaving. Our children are leaving. They're going to graduate high school, right? And they're going to leave Mount Vernon. Because you know why? No one wants to buy a home here. Because you know why? Charter schools are coming in because they smell blood, because it's a failing school district in fiscal distress. And you've got infighting and nonsense that's going on for the better part of a decade, and it took all up until now for us to finally have a competent superintendent and a board that works harmonious with the intent to get children and as the first target, the first point. So I would want, you're not going to have families that want to be involved that they're not feeling like they're part of the conversation. They've been shut out for so long that they have PTSD. Our residents have PTSD because they haven't been told anything for years. We're finally at a place now.
Thank you. Ms. Evan?
One of the things I would do at first is to come up with a community engagement strategy, and that would entail providing information now to the parents, the community at large. We may say, some people may balk at that and say we do, but yes, there is information on the website, but how many parents, how many families actually understand it? So I think we need to look at how we communicate with families and make sure that we're explaining things to them in a simple way so that they can understand. We need to, part of that strategy would be volunteering and actually training them to be volunteers, and work with our students and families as well, and ensure that students, our families are preparing our students to learn when they come in. And that means also having disciplined children in school when, ready to learn.
Thank you. Ms. Albertson?
What I have seen over and over again in public health and social marketing is a way to get to the parents is through the children. So one possible way would be to reach out through the class officers and the school officers and help build, like bake in leadership training in for them. I'll go back to assessment. Each community has its unique needs, and we need to know, why aren't parents showing up? Is it because they're working 4 jobs? Is it because they don't speak the language? Is it because they just don't understand why it's important? We need to do more assessment as to why they're not showing up and then address those. We've got pain points such as food and housing insecurity. How many of the children are living in shelters? Are their moms living with the kids in domestic violence shelters? And so forth. What is the condition in the home? Is there violence in the neighborhood? These are all reasons why parents don't want to go out at night for meetings. So I don't know what the issues are.
Thank you. Ms. Evans, I'll start with you with the next question, and this question comes with 2 minutes. So Dr. Kimberly Young Wilkins was appointed as a New York State Monitor for the Mount Vernon City School District effective July 1st, 2025, last year. In preparation for our next steps, please provide your response to the following questions. What is your understanding of the key aspect of state monitoring? What do you expect your responsibilities to be as a board member in regards to working with the state monitor? What do you believe are the primary objectives of this monitoring process?
Can you go back to your first question?
What is your understanding of the key aspects of a state monitoring?
So the key aspects of my understanding of it is to help the school district to improve. Look at the infrastructure, what's required, and make recommendations to us. The next.
What is your responsibility as a board member in regards to working with the state monitor?
Is to look at the recommendations from the state monitor and make sure that we are implementing those recommendations, and that we can also monitor and show actual outcomes based on those recommendations.
Great. And your primary objectives, which I believe you just stated, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
What is your understanding of the key aspect of state monitoring? And as a board member, what are your expectations of working with the state monitor? And what are the primary objectives of the monitoring process? What's the expected outcome?
So the state monitor is here to assist and build the academic plan and fiscal plan for the district. She presented on July, somewhere around the end of July. She's presented almost every 2 months. What we expect from the state monitor is to structure the school district, and through the superintendent, keep him aligned with her plan. Her plan is to bring us out of fiscal stress while not dropping the ball on academic improvement and success as well. So what I expect from her is to continue holding him accountable as we hold the superintendent accountable as well as a board member, as that is our first priority as well as fiscal responsibility.
Thank you. Mr. Woodbury, same question.
It would actually be the same answer. Our responsibility is to make sure that the superintendent is respecting and honoring what she recommends that will make our program and our educational system a lot better. As a board member, that would be our responsibility, and that is the responsibility of the board, is to make sure that the superintendent is following the rules of the Albany, the states, and the government.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez?
So my understanding of the school monitor's role from the state is to serve as a financial steward and kind of sit between the superintendent and the school board with added financial controls. And I know that the monitor has a big role in the budget, and that I believe that it's presented to the school board before it goes out to the public. And my understanding of my role in working with her is to review the plans that she puts together, to support those plans from a policy perspective and from a financial perspective, and again, to work with the superintendent and collaborate to make sure that the vision is carried out.
Thank you. Ms. Alberton, same question.
I would echo the rest of the panel, but I would describe it a little differently. The monitor is a representative of the New York State Education Department and here to help clarify the standards that we are to meet as a school district and to give us advice on how to do that. So it's a matter of good old-fashioned management. What are the targets? What do we need to do to hit the targets? And who will do how much of what by when to reach those targets? And all of that involves, again, I keep talking about assessment, seeing where the weak points are, and of course the board would be supporting the superintendent in actually implementing that plan. I'm grateful the monitor is here because part of a role of a monitor is to communicate best practices that have been maybe learned nationwide and to apply lessons learned so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Was that one more minute I have, or? I have my contacts in, so.
Oh, 1 minute, yes.
Oh, okay. That would be the overall scope. And again, it would just be a matter of going through, seeing where the money has gone, and asking the question, who will do how much of what by when? What are the priorities? Of course, we put the children first. We need to make sure those needs are met, but also I would want to see some assessment done on the most vulnerable of the students. What are the special needs? What are some of the poverty issues that give them barriers to access? Is there internet at home? COVID really exposed a lot of these inequities. There were homes that didn't have Wi-Fi, much less a computer. So studying online was a challenge. So these are things we need to really know.
Thank you. Next question, Ms. Evans. Which Board of Education committee would you want to serve on and why? 1 minute for that question.
I've given some thought to it, and I thought that I would want to work on the Finance Committee because I want to understand more, much of, as we all know in this room, much of what's going on and why we're here at this moment has to do with finances. So that audit committee, I would want to be a part of that because it will answer so many more questions. One of the things that I would want to do is to share that information within certain, as allowed, with the public in a way that they can understand our finances. So often we hear that's the biggest complaint of the residents of Mount Vernon. We don't know where the money is going. What happened to this? We heard earlier, schools are closing, where's the money going? I would want to be on that committee and be the voice to share that information at large with everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
So the district recently restructured committees. I think we had about 13 committees. And when the state monitor came in, when NISBA came in, we had our yearly retreat. They told us we had too many committees, it was just too many. And our superintendent, this superintendent that we have now who is competent and is on the scene, he is on every committee. And he told us, I need to be on every committee, so it can't be an insane amount. So we stripped it down some and got the necessities with the guidance of the state monitor. I would be on the facilities committee still. I've been on the facilities committee since I've been on the board, and I will continue to remain in the health and wellness part of the facilities committee, which focuses on children's nutrition as well as exercise and diet and things like that, so that we're sharing with parents and teachers what our agenda is, and we're ensuring that students are getting the nutrients they need. Facility side says they're safe.
Thank you. Mr. Woodbury?
I would also like to be on the Health and Wellness Committee, but I would definitely be concerned with the curriculum and the discipline of our schools. Too many of our students are being suspended, and there's no resource to it. You're putting students out of school for a period of time that is unknown to anybody, as well as that's lost time for this kid or girl or boy. So I would definitely love to go back to being on that committee.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez?
I would also join the Finance Committee. I think that, again, like Carlene said, that has been one of the biggest community gripes, and that's something that I hear again and again. And I think being able to answer resident concerns and, outrage with cold, hard facts and in a way that they fully understand, and if they continue to have more questions, communicating with them directly and getting to a point where we might not see things the same way, but at least you know that I took the time to communicate with you and made you feel like, I really care about your concerns. I think that's something that's missing right now.
Thank you. And Ms. Alberton for that question.
Well, I'm going to lean into my area of strength, which is public health. I'm very interested in student and faculty and staff health and wellness. My number one priority in the programs I've been teaching is to prevent child suicide. This has been a rising epidemic in this country since COVID, when child predators are able to make contact with children in online games and other online platforms. And so I've been helping to raise awareness with that. The child gets tricked into sending child sex abuse material to what they think is someone that might be a boyfriend or girlfriend, and then they're immediately extorted for, if not money, then more material. They feel trapped, and some kids are being trafficked in real life. This is something that connects to a multi-billion-dollar industry worldwide, and I would want to look at how maybe the local gang activity and drug trafficking connects with child health and safety in this district.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell, I'll start with you with the next question. What specific initiative would you propose to improve academic achievement, school climate, and access to opportunities for all students in the district?
One more time.
What specific initiative would you propose to improve academic achievement and given the school climate and access to opportunities for all students in this district? And you have a minute to answer.
The first initiative would be technology from one standpoint, because we've been struggling just to make sure that our students have working laptops and then not have technology issues all through the whole school year where they couldn't get any of their work done or stay on target. The other thing that we would need, I would definitely want to focus on, is making sure that not only are we meeting what the state mandates that we're teaching, we're also ensuring that the students are understanding what they're supposed to in the timeline. We're not supposed to be just teaching to test. We've gotten ourselves in that place. So bringing it back to teaching children to understand and learn would be an initiative.
Mr. Woodbury.
Early child care education. I know that we need to focus on our younger students with their reading and writing, with their math, before they get to the 3rd grade or to the 5th grade, before they've got to take a state test and find out if they can read and write or if they can take the test. Sticking a kid in front, and I've worked in the school system, sticking a kid in front of iReady on a laptop and he still doesn't know what 5 times 5 is not going to make a difference to that. Then we also need something with our transitioning students. We have students that are coming from other countries who are literally sitting in a classroom with no understanding whatsoever to what is going on for another 2 or 3 years as their English or their language catches up to their classwork.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez?
Financial literacy for all students. I think starting them young, teaching them the value of money, teaching them how to make money decisions from a very young age, that prepares them for the real world and also teaches them, as a kid, I always, had a weird relationship with money because of how my parents talked about it, but I never really understood financial literacy. So, and I think in achieving that, it's, a small, we can get volunteers, we can get grants to expand those programs, and it's a lot more achievable. And I know we already have programs existing, and so just building on that, that's what I want to do.
Ms. Appleton, same question?
I agree with what everyone is saying, of course, but my special area of focus starts with children's brain development. I have been learning about how screen time actually causes brain damage. It reduces the white matter development, the myelin sheath that it covers the neurons, and it impacts cognitive function in children. This is a major concern because, of course, our brains are developing up until age 25, but particularly in the lower ages. So we need to help these kids protect their brains. And as much as I want them to be tech savvy, I'd rather have them be on screen less time, not more. Reading real books, having fun. Let's make learning fun again. Get their hands in the clay and build things, and just kind of old school style, and help them learn to relate. Teach them nonviolent communication, as taught by Marshall Rosenberg, that violence is, at the basis of all violence is disrespect. So there's a lot that we can teach that has nothing to do with screen time.
Ms. Evans?
The initiative that I would like to do, it will help in the classroom, but it could be spread all throughout the school district. And that is a low cost, no funding, much funding required, and that is what we call, in my field, focus PDCA, which is like an improvement methodology. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, where we figure out what is wrong, we flush out the problems completely, and it could be very small. We're not saying taking on monumentous problems. One step at a time, we do a plan, we figure out what's wrong, we come up with the interventions, we test it, and then we do what's called rapid cycle improvement. Did it work? Did it not work? If it worked, we continue it and we spread it. If not, we tweak it and we keep going, and we just keep doing those cycles over and over until we achieve the set targets.
Thank you. Mr. Woodbury, I'll start with you for the next question. How would you involve students in helping design after-school programs and activities that they would actually want to participate in?
That's a good question. I run the Step Up program, and in the summertime, I run a program called SUSA, which is a job readiness program, and we teach funding. It is created by our students. So I have the seniors, this year's seniors, actually putting the program and the curriculum together, something that helped the students because they know more about what students want to know. I often tease my students and say, I'm 65 years old, I don't think like y'all anymore. I'm just here to make sure that you guys do the liability parts and do things right. I do peer-to-peer teaching. I take students from STEAM down to what was used to be Cecil Parker to help other students reading and writing because they can't do it. So having our students interact with each other, it actually goes a long way.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez?
Can you repeat the question?
How would you involve students in helping design after-school programs and activities that they will actually want to participate in?
I would ask them directly, not personally, obviously, but putting together some kind of questionnaire to see what their interests are and whether or not they would be interested in a program based on those interests.
Thank you. Ms. Alberton, same question?
1 minute?
Yes,
Cool.
1 minute.
I have my own timer now. Absolutely, I agree with Steve. You got to ask the kids, what do you want? What are you interested in? What would they show up for? But also, the flip side of that coin is to say, if there's a program, what would be your barrier from attending? What would be your barrier to access? I love the peer-to-peer, that's training of trainers. you know, each one teach one. I love that model, love the kids teaching each other. That builds so many great things in terms of social skills and confidence. And I would ask the kids also, what kind of outcome would you want? In my experience working with YCOP and the Boys and Girls Club as a music program, they're working towards a talent show. They love to get in front and perform for each other. So there are different iterations of that. If it's a science fair, then they get to present things and teach them really the skills of public speaking. There's a lot that can be done here. It's a very exciting idea.
Thank you. Ms. Evans? Same question.
Yes, I would do a survey of the student, like was mentioned earlier, whether it's holding like a student town hall meeting to figure out what do they want, or send out written surveys to them on their, technology-wise, they are quick to respond to a brief survey, kind of like doing a learning needs assessment to figure out what's most important to them. Then I would take them on a journey to develop that proposal to say, this is what we want, here's what it's going to take, and then have them present that to their school leadership. And I think it will also, as we go through this, we're developing them and teaching them skills to do other programs as well. So it's not just a one-time affair. And then help them figure out what it will take to get that program up and running, and then their outcomes, what do they want to achieve, and how are they going to measure it, and then how are they going to celebrate their achievements as well.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell?
Okay, so this is a good question, because let's look at our resources. You do focus groups, which I think that's the vibe of everybody here. I think everybody here just said something like focus groups where we're talking to the children. PTA, city resources like YCOP, like Youth Bureau, like our grassroots organizations that are here to provide those type of activities for students. And then you put together committees, and then you bring those focus groups and create them for the students, then have them tell you exactly what you're interested in. That way you have a blueprint, schematic, and then you can roll out and make programs and start things that children will stay interested in while tying it into academic structure and what's being taught in the classroom.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez, I'll start with you with the next question. If the budget is not passed and we face a 0% tax levy, how do you feel about the potential elimination of athletic arts and programs in our district? What plans do you have to improve and sustain students' extracurricular activities?
That's a great question. Can you repeat it one more time?
If the budget is not passed and there's 0% tax levy, how do you feel about the elimination of athletics and arts? And what specific plans do you have to improve and sustain students' extracurricular offerings, understanding the financial challenges?
Yeah, I mean, terrible, because, and I've said this before online that, if the budget doesn't pass, everybody suffers. Like the kids, the community, low engagement equals, crime, disengagement. It's bad across the board. And I think that my plan, if the budget does not pass, would be to do everything in my power to secure volunteers, to increase our grant writing capacity, anything that I can do personally to bring more revenue into the district, because again, that is our problem. We have a structural revenue problem, and I would do everything in my power to bring more revenue into the district.
Thank you. Ms. Alberton, same question.
Well, this is a very personal question because my father was a music teacher for 35 years, and when budget cuts came up, the music was always the first on the chopping block. Fortunately, he had great parental support, but it was a little nerve-wracking every few years to have to deal with this. So I'm a true proponent of keeping arts and sports in place. That said, there's a ton of money out here. We're in one of the richest counties on the planet. There's a lot of money out there. We just need to know who might be willing to give it. There's grants, there's fundraising, there's so many opportunities. This city has so much talent, and there are other people in surrounding areas that I'm sure would be thrilled for the opportunity to come here and give classes and workshops. To deal with these problems, thinking outside of the box, it can be done, because it can be done in developing countries where there is zero budget. We can do this. We've got this.
Ms. Evans, same question.
Yes, I think that would be so unfortunate for our kids, but there are times I do understand we have to really take a good look at those programming, and like Janelle said, look to other resources. There are resources there, so one of the things, with or without this cut, we need to really start focusing on putting together a development plan to bring funding in for programs. So whether the budget passes or not, we will have this program that we can tap into. There's also partnerships with other nonprofits that we could do, as well as partnerships with other higher learning institutions, colleges. They're looking for internships. We could really do some academic partnerships that would replace some of these activities for students.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
So the zero tax increase, if we were to get there, first of all, it's insult to injury, because number one, before we get there, we're going to go waste taxpayer money, $50,000 to do a revote, right? Let's talk about that piece first. So while we're talking about we're going to save taxpayers money, but let's first go and spend $50,000 to revote on the budget after we go and try to find a way for the superintendent and the state monitor to restructure the budget again. Okay, then if we go to a zero tax levy, we see what we've been dealing with for the past, where we are now, we just see it perpetuate. So now, it's not just a wound, it's festering now. So, talking about losing counselors and things like that, when we have children 13 years old taking their lives in this district, that's an issue. Unacceptable, very difficult, devastating.
Mr. Woodbury, same question.
First and foremost, that burden would fall on the city, because once again, you would now have a set of students, 300 or 400, 500 students that are now walking the streets because they don't have any extracurricular activities, especially in sports. You also now have students that are going to college and are able to go to college because they do play sports. And as a coach, you also find that half of our students, as a coach, are on a sports team because it's a home away from home. All right? Coaches, we feed more than we do practically anything. So we're feeding kids. All right? Then I would look for grants and other resources, funds, foundations that would support us. But that burden would really, really fall on the Boys Club, the Youth Bureau, YCOP, the Razorbacks, like that. And we would also lose more students to Mount St. Michael's.
Thank you. This is our last and final question, and I'll go to Ms. Alberta. And the question is 1 minute. What motivates your interest in serving as a school district trustee?
If I see things that I don't like, I have a choice. I can either shut my trap and not say anything, or I can complain about it. If I complain about it, I'm going to do what I can to be part of the solution and not just be a naysayer and a critic. I have special training. I have a master's degree in public health. It is equivalent to a master, like an MBA degree, working in developing countries and working with nonprofits in cross-cultural settings, multilingual settings, with very little to no money, and building community-based programs that people are creating for themselves and will support and make to be sustainable, and it will grow over time. So for me, success is helping make programs that will be in place, serving the people long after I'm gone, and I believe I can do that.
Thank you. Ms. Evans?
What motivates me? really believe that every child can learn, and we have the resources here. We have great minds here in Mount Vernon, and we just need to come together a little to make it work. So it's the dream of the future for our kids, and that's what motivates me. I've been here, for example, in Denzel, Washington, and I see the performances. We have talented students in the district. We just need some help. I think given my background, I can lend a hand in helping us to improve, understand where we are and how we can think outside the box and make sure that we are creating a home away from home for our students and a great learning environment for them. And also that at the end of the day, we know that when the students feel good about learning, feel great about it, they're going to show up for classes ready to learn.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
So I started out as PTA president at Honor Academy years and years and years and years and years ago. I did it for about 3 years, and that's when I discovered my passion for getting information to parents, letting them know, because I wanted to generate that feeling of them wanting to volunteer, knowing what's going on, sharing information. I've been working with this school district as a board trustee, and we're finally seeing a turning point. This is what I've been working to see happen for the past 7 years. We're finally here, and I want to be here to continue this work. This superintendent needs at least 3 to 5 more years for us to truly see fruition. And I want to be here to make sure that people continue to get their answers. I have been the track record guy for getting the answers to the people, live and direct.
Mr. Woodbury.
Can you repeat the question?
What motivates your interest in serving as a school district trustee?
Okay, I started at the New York School for the Deaf for 23 years. I worked there, I was a TA there, and I learned a lot about culture, and I learned a lot about our kids. And then I spent 7 years with incarcerated kids, students. And my motivation now has been not to let our students become incarcerated. I hear a phrase all the time, the pipeline to prison, and my answer always is, we need to stop giving pipes. We need to stop helping them get to there. So I've been on the ground helping students. Now I'm at a level and a place where what I was doing was not 90%. I had to become a board trustee member to get back to being 100% of giving myself to them, finding out information for things that they were not allowed to do, that they should have been allowed to do, but because they didn't have a voice, they missed out on it.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez?
Listening, talking to and connecting with residents, families, kids, getting to know them all, taking their pain points, solving their problems, connecting with the community, making the community a better place, contributing directly to student success, to family well-being, and just knowing that the efforts I'm making, as a trustee are directly impacting families in the community and just making everything better.
Thank you. So now we're at our final remarks, and we'll give 30 seconds to wrap it up. I'll start with you, Ms. Albertin. If you could go ahead, 30 seconds to make your final remark.
Thank you for having this forum. Thank you for giving us a chance to answer these questions. There's so much to learn. I have so many questions that will gather information that I believe hasn't been gathered before. As Stephen said, I want to learn more about the pain points and what kinds of solutions the community themselves, from the parents to the children, would be interested in helping build and sustain. We also know that when people build something, sorry, it was 1 minute, right?
30 seconds.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. Ms. Evans, 30 seconds, final remarks.
I'd like to thank everyone for their support, and I want to let everyone also know that I am committed to helping in whatever way I can. Working with the superintendent, it is a challenging job. And so my role here is not to get in the way, but to be a resource and a support. And in closing, I just...
It goes fast.
I know.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
My name is Warren Mitchell, 4A on the ballot. I would like to thank the moderators, the timekeepers, the PTA Council for putting this forum together, thank you for allowing us to come here and speak and be heard. It's a learning thing. This being a trustee is not just walking in and just saying, I'm gonna change this and change that. There's a ton of learning, I can tell you that. So I just want to say I'm actually appreciated to sit here with this panel of folks who are willing to devote their time the way they are tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Woodbury.
I would like to thank the PTA for inviting me to this forum. I am John Woodbury, 1A. I do believe that we have a good school system, and it needs to hear more from the outside and from someone who is outside, more than just, smoke and mirrors. So I would like to be part of that. I'm not here to make a whole bunch of changes, but I am here to support a superintendent who actually needs to know what is actually going on.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everybody who put this together, everybody who's paying attention to everything going on in the school district. And I am committed to just making sure that all of my efforts are collaborative, that I'm supporting the superintendent, that I'm supporting the school monitor's mission. This is not about me, it's about the greater Mount Vernon, and I thank you again.
I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Anderson.
Okay. I just want to take this opportunity to thank our moderator, our timekeeper. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. And most importantly, thank you, candidates, for showing up. I just want to make it clear also that all candidates were invited. Unfortunately, 2 were not able to be here. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know it is a busy time, and you were able to come and talk with everyone. This was also live streamed, so if persons were not able to attend tonight, they can go on YouTube or on the Facebook page to view the recordings. With that being said, thank you, everyone, and get home safe.